Chapter 23. In the morning, I had to get the show on the road, or never get to my protective shack in California. I had about $8 left of the cash I'd brought with me. I went down to the highway and started to hitchhike, hoping for quick luck. A salesman gave me a ride. He said, 360 days out of the year, we get bright sunshine here in El Paso, and my wife just bought a clothes dryer. He took me to Las Cruces, New Mexico, and there I walked through the little town, following the highway, and came out on the other end and saw a big, beautiful old tree and decided to just lay my pack down and rest anyhow. Since it's a dream already ended, then I'm already in California. Then I've already decided to rest under that tree at noon, which I did, on my back, even napping a while pleasantly. Then I got up and walked over the railroad bridge, and just then a man saw me and said, "How would you like to earn $2 an hour helping me move a piano?" I needed the money and said okay. We left my rucksack in his moving storage room and went off in his little truck to a home in the outskirts of Las Cruces, where a lot of nice middle-class people were chatting on the porch. And the man and I got out of the truck with the hand truck and the pads and got the piano out. Also, a lot of other furniture. Then transported it to their new house and got that in. That was that. 2 hours, he gave me $4, and I went to into the truck stop diner and had a royal meal and was all set for that afternoon at night. Just then, a car stopped, driven by a big Texan with a sombrero, with a poor Mexican couple, young, in the back seat, the girl carrying an infant, and he offered me a ride all the way to Los Angeles for $10. I said, "I'll give you all I can," which is only $4. "Well, goddammit, come on anyway." He talked and drove all night straight through Arizona and the California desert, and left me off in Los Angeles a stone's throw from my railroad yards at 9 o'clock in the morning. And the only disaster was the poor little Mexican wife had spilled some baby food on my rucksack on the floor of the car, and I wiped it off angrily. But they had been nice people. In fact, driving through Arizona, I'd explained a little Buddhism to them, specifically karma, reincarnation, and they all seemed pleased to hear the news. "You mean other chance to come back and try again?" asked the poor little Mexican, who was all bandaged from a fight in Juarez the night before. "That's what they say." "Well, goddammit, next time I be born, I hope I ain't who I am now." And the big Texan, if anybody better get another chance, it was him. His stories all night long were about how he slugged so-and-so for such and such. From what he said, he had knocked enough men out to form Cox's army of avenged phantasmal grievers crawling onto Texas land. But I noticed he was more of a big fibber than anything else, and I didn't believe half his stories and stopped listening at midnight. Now, 9 a.m. in LA, I walked to the railroad yards, had a cheap breakfast of donuts and coffee in a bar, sitting at the counter, chatting with the Italian bartender who wanted to know what I was doing with a big rucksack. Then I went to the yards and sat in the grass watching them make up the trains. Proud of myself because I used to be a brakeman, I made the mistake of wandering around the yards with my rucksack on my back, chatting with the switchman, asking about the next local, and suddenly here came a great big young cop with a gun swinging in his holster on his hip, all done up like in TV, the sheriff of Cochise and Wyatt Earp, and giving me a steely look through dark glasses, orders me out of the yards. So he watches me as I go over the overpass to the highway, standing there, arms akimbo. Mad, I went back down to the highway and jumped over the railroad fence and lay flat on the grass a while. Then I sat up and chewed grass, keeping low, however, and waited. Soon I heard a highball blow, and I knew what train was ready, and I climbed over cars to my train and jumped on it as it was pulling out and rode right out of the LA yards, lying on my back with the grass standing in my mouth, right under the unforgiving gaze of my policeman, who was now armed akimbo for a different reason. In fact, he scratched his head. The local went to Santa Barbara, where again I went to the beach, had a swim and some food over a fine wood fire in the sand, and came back to the yards with plenty of time to catch the midnight ghost. The midnight ghost is composed mainly of flat cars with truck trailers lashed on them by steel cables. The huge wheels of the trucks are encased in wood blocks. Since I always lay my head down right by those wood blocks, it would be goodbye, Ray, if there was ever a crash. I figured if it was my destiny to die on the midnight ghost, it was my destiny. I figured God had work for me to do yet. The ghost came right on schedule, and I got on the flat car, under a truck, spread out my bag, struck my shoes under my bald coat for a pillow, and relaxed inside. Zoom, we were gone. And now I know why the bums call it the midnight ghost. Because, exhausted, against all better judgment, I fell fast asleep and only woke up under the glare of the yard office lights in San Luis Obispo, a very dangerous situation. The train had stopped just in the wrong way, but there wasn't a soul in sight around the yard office. It was mid of night. Besides, just then, as I woke up from a perfect dreamless sleep of the highball, was going bah bah up front, and we were already pulling out, exactly like ghosts. And I didn't wake up then till almost San Francisco in the morning. I had $1 left, and Gary was waiting for me at the shack. The whole trip had been as swift and enlightening as a dream, and I was back.